If you're gonna run in Texas, you can't be a liberal man, 'cause liberal thought is not the spirit of a Lone Star man. You gotta be tough as Texas and honest about your plans. If you're gonna run in Texas, you can't be a liberal man. I remember reading stories, liberal Robert wanted to fit in, so he changed his name to Beto and hit it with a grin. Beto wants those open borders and wants to take our guns. Not a chance on earth he'll get a vote from millions of Texans. If you're gonna run in Texas, you can't be a liberal man.
I'm Ted Cruz, and I approve this message.
Hello, good morning. How's everybody doing? Hello, hello, hello. Howdy, howdy, howdy. Hope everyone is feeling wonderful this morning. I know that I am not, but that's okay. You know, not every day can be a wonderful day. I mean, if you are going to run in Texas, you can't be a liberal man after all. Camping in your childhood backyard? Neat. That sounds like fun. Little camping trip. About to get a bunch of legal tobacco. That's always good times. That's always positive. I feel like shit this morning, but I'm ready for you to make it better. Well, I have at least one activity for us to do this morning. I've got a video for us to watch together. We're going to wait for a few minutes, let people get here, and then we are going to check out Ray Comfort's new movie trailer together. He's made a movie called The Fool. So we're going to check that out together in a minute. How do you make it through Easter dinner tonight with your family? Why is your family having Easter so late? They're like 10 days late or something? They might want to think about, like, you could use that as an excuse. You could be like, look, guys, I was totally down to do this on Easter, but I made plans, you know? I mean, who knows? Yep. We're having a video lesson today. Everybody must listen and pay attention. There will be a pop quiz. I had a massive full-on panic attack for the first time when smoking legal tobacco the other day. Okay. Well, it's probably a good thing that you stay away from it then. It's not for everybody, that's for sure. I know that there's a channel that's uploading DFF patron shows. Thank you for being one of the folks that helped us make aware of it. We're working on, you know, I mean, there's very little that we can do in terms of this person's willingness to just sit around and make a million channels and shit. But, you know, we'll get it taken down one way or the other. And he'll put it up again, and we'll get it taken down, and it'll be the endless dance of autism. All right. Oh, good Lord. Man, that is enough of that. Holy shit. Actually, it's never enough. Do. All right. There are 82 of us here together. So I suppose that we could take a look at the Fool trailer together now. See what we think about it. Let's crank up the volumes. There and here. Okay. I have yet to watch this. So this will be, you know, my first time as well as probably some of yours. Let's see what Ray Comfort is up to.
And the maker has even curved it toward the face to make the whole process so much easier.
It gives us great joy when we make people laugh. But what are you supposed to do when they're not laughing with you, but at you, when you become the laughingstock of atheists worldwide? Welcome to my world.
Is he really going to take this angle with this? He's the sad, tragic clown, dude. Is this really the way he's going to go with this? I can't believe it, dude.
You may know him as the Banana Man.
Because Ray Comfort is probably the very bottom of the creationist barrel. He's the worst of the bunch.
Little Jacqueline Glenn cameo there. A story of humiliation that turned into something that will blow your mind. What? So you said stupid shit and people made fun of you, and you're gonna blow my mind with that fact? Okay. All right, Ray. Okay, let's see. Wow, that was so good. Lynn Copeland, President, Genesis Publishing Group. Okay, all right, yeah. If he uses a bunch of these quotes, what are the chances that every last one of them is from some stupid fucking Christian organization? I'd say about 100%. Whoa, dude. Steve Shives is in this? That's crazy. I wasn't prepared for this profound soul shocker. Eric Ludy, President, Ellerslie Discipleship Training. Why did he just show a quick picture of Ricky Gervais? Hold on. Was there any point to that? Let's see. No, there wasn't. And I guess they just wanted to show some Ricky Gervais. When I think you hit the top, you raise the bar. Excellent work. Andrew Rappaport, President, Striving for Eternity Ministries. Wait a minute. 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 Give me 1 second here. Let's just, I want to see that again. Let's, hold on. Hold on. Let's, uh-oh. I've got to get rid of some of this stuff. The last time I was using this screen, we were doing something a little different. I guess I could leave some of this stuff, honestly. Probably just improve what we're doing. Alright. Get out of here. Come on. I could leave the chocolate-covered banana, but let's not. Alright. Jester hat's gotta go. Where's the cigarette? Oh, there's the cigarette. Okay, there we go. Let's just, I just want to see this. I just want to see this action sequence here one more time. So let's take a look. Okay. Well, holy shit. Well, holy shit. It's like he wanted us to do it. Okay, fair enough, dude. If that's how we're gonna do it, let's do it. Yep. It was meant to be. I should have just left this shit up there. Wow. Well, it's not quite done yet. Okay. All right. So he's literally okay. All right. Fair enough. You got me, Ray Comfort. The fool. The fool. Well. I don't know, man. He's trying to cash in on it. I mean, obviously. I don't think it's an April Fool's, no. I think this is a movie that is being made. Sir Eats a Lot should review this. Maybe, dude. Maybe we'll just have a whole stream here and we'll watch the whole thing together. What did you miss? We watched Ray Comfort's new trailer for his new movie, The Fool. Yeah. The quiz is, why was that quick cut of Ricky Gervais left in this trailer? I am doing okay. Thank you for asking. I hope the same can be said for you. It's a Saturday. I've got 2 projects on my plate today outside of my little wake-up, warm-up stream here. TJ and I are going to be watching a movie for the Cinema for Cynics patrons and posting that to Patreon. And I will be editing my next Cinema for Cynics review. My beard is mighty manly. I mean, dude, it's just a scraggly piece of shit, man. About as manly as they come. Thoughts on the channel awesome drama? Really not all that many. I mean, TG and I kind of went over it on one of the ideologies on his channel. And some of it sounds like, you know, legitimate criticism, stuff that should probably be changed about their structure. And I gotta be honest with you, quite a bit of it sounded like sour grapes. There was a lot of complaining about things that just, as a performer, they don't make a whole lot of sense to me. You know, one of the big bullet points of their critique of him was that he directed them to do shots in a certain way and didn't like to use alternative takes where the actors tried something different. And I'm just like, why are you even complaining about that? If you want total creative control over what you're doing, then you direct your own piece of work. And then when you're doing that, I can almost guarantee that you're going to coax the performances that you want out of your performers. So, but there's a lot of that type of stuff. It's like, oh, like shoots were disorganized and, you know, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, then go do it better. Then go work for somebody else. You know what I mean? Like, movie shoots are often disorganized and frenetic and hectic from what I understand. There's a lot going on. So, I don't know. The sexual harassment stuff, you know, what little of it there is, I think is the most serious allegations to come out and should probably be dealt with or addressed. But the rest of that sour grapes nonsense shouldn't even have been in that document. It cheapens that document that type of stuff was put in there, because anybody that knows anything about the industry knows that a lot of those criticisms are just outright stupid. DSP has gouty fat butt. Dude, I've been watching a lot of like dark side Phil detractor videos recently. Man, they just like I laugh along with them, of course, because DSP really is a shitbag. But I can't help but feel a little bit bad for the dude, because man, everything he does is ruined by like trolls and shit, dude. Like, you know, the type of shit I deal with here with the occasional spammer or whatever the fuck is just, it's not even worth mentioning. You know what I mean? I watch his community and it makes me feel bad for treating you guys so poorly. Treating you guys like you're the most tistic thing on the internet. You know what I mean? Because holy shit, man. DSP. Oh my god, dude. DSP is a gamer on YouTube and Twitch. DSP is short for Dark Side Phil. He's been around for a long time. He was one of the early Let's Players to start on YouTube. He started and for a long time filmed his videos with just like a camcorder before direct capture was easily available to people. So he had a pretty big chunk of legacy subscribers for being one of the ground floor guys, but as a personality, he has deteriorated over the years to the point where I think it's come to light that he's not very good at video games and never really has been. He's also really sensitive and feeds the trolls almost constantly, which just draws them to him like a moth to a flame. Yeah, dude, his you know, his whole life centers around him streaming constantly on Twitch. And he puts his entire life out in front of people. So like he hasn't learned yet that, you know, some things are best kept under your hat, you know. He involves his girlfriends and all his bullshit, and then people make fun of them, and it, you know, he reacts to that, which just encourages them to keep doing it. It's a vicious cycle, man. A vicious cycle. Yeah, he had a long-term girlfriend, Panda Lee, that broke up with him, and then now he's dating some chick that looks like he's holding her hostage or paying her to be there. One of the two. He did like, I mean, we can watch it. You guys want to watch it? Let's watch like a little bit of his girlfriend reveal, because it's one of the most like fucking just uncomfortable fucking pieces of video that you'll ever see. I mean, you just gotta like watch her reaction. Let's see, the gout police have a good one here. Let's see. Let's get rid of this background music for now. I'll take it over to the moon, and we'll see. See what we can see here.
All right, everyone. Hello. DSP here, looking like a complete bum. I know.
All right, hello everybody. Phil and Kat here, and welcome to a special video that we've been planning on working on for a while.
Help me! Me! Nigga! Help me!
Why hasn't Phil done videos with Kat? Why aren't there vlogs? Why hasn't she been in gameplay? Why hasn't she been on streams?
Can you just see the... Hold on, let's...
Fucking cock-sucking, money-grubbing pieces of shit.
Whoa. I mean, you just gotta look at like them sitting next to each other, and you can just see the chemistry between them. Like, look at this, dude. They are clearly into one another.
She's lived here for a month.
Oh,
right?
oh
And
no!
Have you had a good time?
Oh, why was that so painful to watch? Why was that so painful? I want to close my eyes, man. Look at this. Let's see that again. I don't know why that little moment was so bad.
First of all, she's lived here for a month, right? And have you had a good time, at least in the month that you've been here?
Not at all, really.
On YouTube or
By
anywhere.
the way, I am real. Just for all the people who think I don't exist, I am real. But I don't think I need to say that, but I'll say it anyway.
All right.
Hello. DSP here.
Wow. Holy shit, man.
It's my fault a lot of times, you know, in those previous years, I shared way too much with you guys. All right, that's it, guys. Thanks a lot for listening. Hope you enjoyed the video, and hope it cleared the air, and see you later.
So I don't know whether I think she looks more like a victim of like a kidnapping, or just like somebody who was paid to sit there and pretend they were together. But there's something wrong, man. Like, why would you move across the country to move in with somebody that you have this little chemistry with? I mean, the subtlety of her body language, like, she's leaning away from him. She cranes her neck away from him. Her eyes blink and dart around when he interacts with her, because it clearly makes her uncomfortable. I mean, like, all of that is so just like dripping off of her in this. Yeah, her eyes look like haunted. Could be the camera. I mean, maybe, But you would, I don't know, man. I can understand uncomfortability in front of the camera, but you would think that, you know, that would cause you to maybe latch on to the person that you really care about and love and just moved across the country to live with. You would think she might overexpress that kind of clinginess rather than, you know, why is she toxic? Yeah, I don't know. She's in handcuffs out of the shot. I have not donated any of my earnings to the gout fund. No.
Bye.
Whoa. She's blinking SOS. All right, all right. Fair enough. But that's just a little taste of DSP for you. You think she needs our help? I don't know. Maybe somebody who's better at Morse code can interpret those blinks. I'm going to put the NATO on and crank the music up for you guys for just a minute. I've got to go get something to drink. Don't go anywhere. There's no point. I'll be right back. Okay. All right already. Calm your tits. I'm back. Sheesh. All right. Myself a mason jar of sweet tea. Here's to the southern life. Have I seen all the drama with Rice Gum? If you don't know, he's a rich, entitled asshole who just films people without permission, flaunts his wealth, doesn't credit his diss track. Whatever, I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. Can you link stuff here? I don't know, I think. I mean, good tea, good food in general, man. It ain't just the tea that's good down now. Tomato's doing star jumps, yeah. He's keeping himself fit. That's not an orange, man. Don't say blasphemous shit like that in the chat, dude. That is not an orange. That is Señor Tomat. Oh, yeah, dude. You're in for a treat. Texas has got some really great barbecue, some really great Southwest Mexican food. Some California influence in the Mexican food, and then there's some stuff that's very, very distinctly South Texan. They're really, really good shit, dude. If dolphins are so smart, why do they live in igloos? Good point. Good point. Is it cold in Louisiana, Paul? Nope. Nope. Not really. I mean, it's brisk this morning, I guess. If anything the South does right, it's meat. And seafood, too. Especially here in Louisiana. My God, dude. If you're a shrimp or lobster or, you know, shellfish lover, holy fucking shit, man. The shrimp here are fucking transcendent. I've bragged on, you know, Louisiana shrimp before, but Jesus Christ, man. Gulf shrimp is just something else. They're just the sweetest, most tender fucking shrimp you've ever had. Just fresh. You can just taste the freshness. No matter how you get it, you know, fried, breaded, scampi. Yeah, all that BP oil makes it real tasty. I have never had Maine lobster before in my life. I would love to try it, though. What's some good food up north, like Oregon, etc.? I mean, if I was gonna send somebody to the Pacific Northwest, just with my experience there, it wouldn't be for the food. It's not that the food is bad there. It's just that there's very little about it that's distinctive. There's really nothing that is, you know, stand out better than you could get in any other big city. There were some really good restaurants in Bellevue around where I lived while I was there in Washington. One of my favorites, I can't remember the name of it now because this is, you know, filed that in a cabinet of like don't need to remember, but there was a like a falafel and hummus type of joint that was really, really good. There was a couple of ramen places near. I mean, you know, you get a lot of like Asian and East Asian type of food, Southeast Asian and Mediterranean. So there was a lot of that, at least centered around where I was living. And it was really good. Lobster and shrimp are water insects. Yeah, they're like lobsters are basically the cockroaches of the sea. But man, that's a tasty fucking cockroach. Pho. Yeah, there was a lot of pho joints. I like pho, but it's usually something that happens on a ride along with other people who really want pho. You know, I'm never going to be the guy that, like, people are going, what should we get to eat? I'm never going to be the guy that goes pho. But if that's what we end up deciding on, I'm not too broken up about it. It's pretty tasty. Pho, dude. Paul actually says pho, right? So few people do. Well, yeah, I mean, I lived within walking distance of 3 pho joints and went to it a bunch of times. And the first time I met TJ, we went and had pho. There was a pho joint right down from the Motel 6 I was staying at in Hollywood, and they met me out there, and we just walked around the block and down the street to that place. Have you eaten crawfish this season? No, I have not, but I'm looking forward to it. If you could return to being a teen, would you? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I'm not one of those guys that dreams about going back, taking a second stab at things and shit, man. I would not want to give up this progress. You know, I would not want to have to relearn all the lessons that I've learned since I was a teenager. No, thank you. This is one of my favorite grooves on this, like, playlist here. I don't know, I just like it. What if you go back with the current knowledge you have? No. I mean, that's still like going back. That would, I don't know, dude. Then you'd have too much knowledge. You'd have too much foreknowledge about people. Like, you would know when people were gonna die. You would know when people got into relationships that they weren't gonna work out. You would know, you know what I mean? Like, it's just too much. It wouldn't be much of a life at all. You would seem creepy and the government would kidnap you. Maybe. Yeah. They'd think, I mean, if you could remember some lotto numbers, though, holy shit. Or yeah, make sports bets for sure. The old Marty McFly method. Yeah, dude. I could predict 9/11. Yeah, like maybe I make a bunch of videos and shit predicting 9/11, and then the government thinks I have something to do with it, and they come get me. And then I reveal to them that I'm from the future and that I know everything that's going to happen. And they use me as a weapon against their enemies to change world history. I mean, the lotto is only one way to make a pile of cash with knowledge of future events. Yeah, I mean, that's definitely one thing that I would do. I was working at Starbucks at the time that the Google IPO happened, and a bunch of people that I know rolled their Starbucks stock over into Google stock, and I didn't. And I would have made something like $40,000 or $50,000 on that transaction. So if I'd have known better, I would have had, you know, all my friends and family do a giant investment and just paid dividends. Yeah, Bitcoin would be another one too. Get Bitcoin when it's cheap as fuck. Just buy like 300 of them and sit on them for 10 years. They'd probably execute you. I mean, I don't know about execute. I think there's a good chance that I get dissected or some shit. They'd probably experiment on me a bunch. I don't know if they'd outright execute me. I mean, that would be... Because, yeah, I mean, foreknowledge of the future is one thing, but... Like, it can be dangerous, but it's also incredibly useful, no? Invest in hummus. Yeah, there you go. I mean, just think about the people that bought Bitcoin when it was like way cheaper than $70. You know what I mean? There were points in Bitcoin's history when it was like $5, you know, less even, I think, at some point. It's like, imagine just buying 1,000 of them when it was $5, you know? Invest $5,000 and then just sit on them. I don't even want to think about how much money you'd have today. Favorite Charles Manson quote? I really do love that. I mean, I know it's a very cliched one, but that answer he gave at one of his parole hearings when the parole officer asked him, who is Charles Manson? It's a really awesome moment. He made a bunch of faces and then said nobody. He made a bunch of silly faces. Well, some of them ranged from silly to aggressive. And he kind of came up out of his chair and kind of lunged a little bit at the people. And then he sat down quietly and just said nobody. It's awesome. Maybe I can find it. We can watch it together real quick.
They still have no...
All right. So we'll take a look at it together here.
And they still have no idea what you're about. Tell me in a sentence who you are.
Nobody. I'm nobody.
and a straight razor if you get too close to me. And they still.
That's awesome. Man, that's a see, that's the thing about Manson, man. He thought in poetry. He spoke in poetry. You know what I mean? Clearly off his nut, clearly fucking crazy, but yep, I'm a tramp, a hobo. I'm a boxcar and a jug of wine and a straight razor if you get too close to me. Pretty awesome stuff. I'm a boxcar and a jug of wine and a straight razor if you get too close to me. A dark version of G-Time Johnny, maybe. I don't know if G-Time's touched in quite the same way. His ramblings are distinctly less poetic than Charlie's were. Oh yeah, I mean, we watched a bunch of his parole hearings and stuff on the Manson DFF that we did. And, you know, it was almost like he treated it like a game. He played a different character every time he sat in front of the board. And he went in there not to get himself exonerated. He really wasn't interested in being released. So he used it as an opportunity to fuck with the system. Every time he went in there, he had a different demeanor, a different line of attack. Is Manson still alive? No, he isn't. He died relatively recently. I think last year. Maybe in 2016. Either way, it wasn't that long ago. To achieve what Manson did, you really need to have some charisma. Yep, for sure. And some talent, too. We listened to some of his music on that DFF special as well. And I've heard it before, but you know, it's not something I find myself running to all the time to listen to, but it's pretty awesome. He died November of last year, yeah. And LSD, well, sure. How much does language factor into one's intelligence? I mean, that depends on who you ask. Intelligence is, you know, the IQ test is one way of, you know, measuring spatial intelligence. But there are all kinds of threads of intelligence that are harder to measure and harder to quantify in terms of what they contribute to a person's intelligence. I haven't heard anything conclusive. I've listened to the Jim Jones tape in full, yes. I've watched pretty much everything that I can find about Jim Jones. When we were doing those DFF episodes on cult leaders, well, the two that I've paid the most attention to are L. Ron Hubbard, which we kind of covered outside of the scope of that cult block, and Jim Jones. I've watched everything that I can possibly get my hands on, from, you know, archival footage of Jim Jones speaking to his church to public appearances. I'm pretty fascinated with the guy. I mean, it's really, really harrowing. Like the entire recording of the, you know, the actual mass suicide and him walking people through what to do is one of the most harrowing pieces of audio you could sit down and listen to. It's very long, too. Do you think a class of 5th graders from 2018 are smarter than a class of 5th graders from 1955? Yeah, see, I don't know. I mean, that would depend, right? On what you're using to quantify smart. I mean, there are scientific discoveries that have happened since 1955 that children from 1955, if the test featured those things heavily, then those children would be at a distinct disadvantage. But there are probably fundamental basics that, you know, math, reading, the old trifecta of reading, writing, and arithmetic, right? I'd be willing to bet that your average student from 1955 could write and read far better than your average student in 2018. Would you have joined Jonestown if you could, Paul? No, it's definitely not my kind of thing. That's not really why I'm fascinated with it. I don't really buy into the utopian kind of back to our roots, go off the grid kind of message of Jonestown. At least not when it's so heavily draped in, you know, religious dogma. I mean, but it's hard for me to say that, you know, if I grew up at the time where, you know, I was a 20-year-old man or something in San Francisco at the time when the People's Temple really started to take off, it's really impossible for me to tell you conclusively if I wouldn't have been pulled into that. Because my fascination with Jim Jones is a fascination with his outward charisma. And I have to imagine if I were standing in the audience watching him speak, that would probably be magnified, you know? Would I have let Father Jones stick it in me? I would hope not. Have you watched the video of the chemical attacks in Syria? Little kids convulsing and throwing up blood? No. I've skipped those. I long ago stopped trying to catalog all the horrors that happen on this planet. I went through a long period of time where I felt it was like my duty to watch that type of shit. Not necessarily that exact type of shit, but to just be tuned into all the death and destruction and misery of the planet. And it ate me alive from the inside out. So I stopped doing it, and my life has been nothing but better for it. I'm still exposed to it from time to time, but I don't look at it as a primary expeditionary action in my life to fucking seek out every little pocket of suffering that I can. It's too depressing. It's way too depressing. You're absolutely right. Did you read the story I sent to you? If so, what do you think? I have not yet, but I will let you know when I get a chance to, my friend. Did you see that video of the Asian baby getting its head ran over? Oh, man. No. No. I missed that one. He doesn't really seem all that charismatic to me, neither does Koresh. I mean, I don't really understand what basis... whatever, though, dude. You're just above that shit. You're just above that shit, the lone peasant. It's important to try and look on the bright side of life. I don't know about that. I don't know about that. I'd say it's more important to ignore the dark parts of life. At least some of them, than to focus on the bright side. That super, you know, outward optimism is its own kind of burden to carry around, you know? think there's an element of entitlement in nihilism. I would have to hear your argument for that even being possible. Like, I would have to hear how you would extrapolate entitlement from just base nihilistic philosophy. You'd have to show me a little bit more of what you're trying to ask there, because I don't really understand. I'm just saying think positive instead of negative, as it can make you feel better. That is true. I mean, positive thinking can help with your mood and your mental state and stuff. I mean, from my position, I'm not even a hard nihilist. It's just nihilism seems to be the anti-entitlement philosophy. It seems to me that people that posit that there's an objective meaning to all of this, you know, derive a sense of entitlement from that. There's a meaning to this, ergo I am entitled to benefit from knowing that meaning. I'm entitled to benefits in my life because I'm one of the people that does know that meaning. Whereas a nihilist, if you started talking about benefit, would just say that there is no such thing. If nothing has meaning, then what's the meaning of the word meaning? Whoa. Whoa, buddy. I think people have answered you pretty well there. If nothing has meaning, what's the meaning of the word nothing? Nothing. Nihilists often complain or note how awful the world is, as if they could make a better world, as if they ought to be the ones that should make reality. I think you might be talking to people who think they're nihilists and aren't. Because what you just described doesn't sound like a nihilist to me. Now, actually running into a true nihilist is a pretty rare thing. So it seems to me that maybe you've had a lot of conversations with edgy college-aged people who think that they're nihilists because they're angry at the world. So yeah, that sounds like something that would be ascribed to that type of person far more than an actual nihilist. Logically, nihilism is pretty hard to argue with. Even if something is created with a purpose, the question then is, what is the purpose of that purpose eventually? I mean, yeah, it's a, you know, infinite reduction argument. Do I hate the buzzword cultural Marxism? I don't hate it. I don't see the purpose of it. It's another one of those, you know, kind of nebulous ideas that everybody has a different idea about what it entails and what it means. And so I don't really see its use. Nobody's, you know, we haven't decided what it is. So why even bother trying to talk about it? But why shouldn't you be entitled to things you didn't choose to exist? I don't know. here we have this concept where certain people are highly gifted. If you have a combination of high IQ and are multi-talented, people will call you that. Is there a concept? Yeah, gifted. Smart kids that were above their grade level in school, and I'm not bragging, I was one of them, were put into a program called GATE back in the day, Gifted and Talented Education, where you were kind of taken for about half the day and put into a classroom that was more focused on literature and I mean, that really is what I remember the focus being, is an access to literature outside of the classroom level literature. I read Shakespeare for the first time in the 3rd grade in GATE. But yeah, there's an idea of gifted here. Gifted is, you know, and it seems to be pretty much the same as where you're from. That was special education. Oh, come on, dude. Come on. The coolest thing I got to do with GATE, and this is like, gotta be one of the most awesome field trips of all time. Let me see if I can find a picture of the ship that I stayed on. I think it's probably still docked in the Maritime Historical Park. Yes, it is. There she blows, matey. So I'll just grab a picture of this real quick and put it up for you guys while I talk about this. See if I can find a big one. This is the biggest one I can find. All right. So this is the Balclutha, which is a really old wooden ship, one of the oldest wooden ships that still survives, docked in a harbor in San Francisco. And when I was in the 5th grade, we got to take a GATE field trip that was 1 week long. And the field trip was that we lived on the Balclutha, and we were treated like sailors would have been treated when the Balclutha was in service. So, it was awesome. I mean, obviously they didn't treat us exactly like that, but you can see in the background there, if you take a look, on the right-hand portion of the screen, that building off in the background on that chunk of rock is part of Alcatraz Prison, which is a really infamous prison. It's no longer in service, but Al Capone was sent to Alcatraz. It was thought to be the unescapable prison because it's on a chunk of rock in the middle of a really, really torrid bay in San Francisco. So, but everybody drew jobs on the boat. You know, a bosun. I don't remember all of them, but mine was night watch, which was awesome. My job was to sit up in the wheelhouse there, which they actually took that wheelhouse structure down for our trip. You can see at the back of the boat, there's like a little structure back there. I think they use that to show off the wheel because the Balclutha is basically a museum. It's a floating museum now. But that structure wasn't there, and the wheel was exposed to the elements like it would have been back in the day. And it was my job to stand at the wheel and keep night watch. It sounds really boring, but when you're, you know, just a few miles from Alcatraz Prison and on the water, and it was really neat. But they would come running in the morning and get everybody out of bed and make you swab the deck, and then, you know, they'd make you learn how to cook your own meals. And you'd eat, you know, really simple stuff like the sailors would have had to eat, you know. So it was a really cool experience, and there's really nothing like that these days. Kids have absolutely no access to that sort of thing at all these days. But we got to do some crazy stuff too. They harnessed us up. You know, put harnesses, like fall harnesses on us, obviously, but they let us climb up into the crow's nest And part of my watch was climbing up into the crow's nest. Really cool. Yeah, dude, we had to swab the poop deck. You better believe it. We had to swab the poop deck. We had to, like, move cargo around. We learned how to load a cannon. Kids still get field trips to museums and baseball fields. Yeah, but this was a week-long field trip where I lived like, you know, a sailor for a week. I didn't just get to go visit this boat. I lived on this boat for a week. Pretty awesome. I loved going to historical fairs as a kid. I went to one in Washington, set in a fishing town where they dressed and acted. Oh, yeah. Those are kind of fun. I went to a Civil War reenactment once. Kind of neat. A little dorky, but whatever. They have summer camps like this near me. They have a pirate one where you sail to an island daily. Cool. Gonna move a shit ton of truck axles all day for work. Alright, dude. Well, that sounds like it sucks, but... you know. Maybe I'll be around when you're back, dude. I would have probably hated that if I had experienced anything like that as a kid. Oh, dude, I loved it. I fucking ate that shit up. I was an adventurous little kid. Very, very different than I am now. I grew out of that adventurous spirit. And now I'm basically a shut-in. For all intents and purposes. Life broke me. I guess so. Life broke me in. I'm more adventurous now and less inclined to give heed to it. Well, that's pretty cool. The daycare I went to used to take us on field trips every single day. It was fucking great. Cool. Yeah, school was way better when I was a kid, man. That is one of the things that's one of the old man stories that I can tell to this young audience. Is, you know, man, it sucks to be you guys, because school used to be pretty awesome, man. Even when I think about, like, my high school experience, even, compared to what I witnessed at my last job, just fucking, like, wow. I didn't know how good I had it, man. Of course, while you're in it, especially as a salty-ass teenager in high school, you think it sucks, and you make fun of all the institutions and all the teachers and all the fucking principals and security guards and kids, and, you know, you hate it all. But, man, looking back on it, in comparison to what kids that go to that same high school that I went to experience now, see, that's the fucked up thing, is that I've seen how much it's changed on the micro level. You know what I mean? Not just like a big, broad, anecdotal kind of like things have gotten worse, but just like I've seen the changes happen at the school I went to. And that goes all the way back to my elementary school. I used to work at Millview in Madera, which was the elementary school that I did K through 6 at. And I saw how, I mean... to be honest with you, Millview was kind of a bastion because the teachers there were still awesome when I worked there. So the kids, even though vastly underfunded, they didn't have the right kind of supplies, and their desks and chairs were falling apart, and they were still beholden to all the bullshit silence rules while they ate, and the weird new fucking kind of helicopter teacher mentality where Kids aren't really allowed to go off on their own and have their own conversations and interact with each other as peers outside of the earshot of a teacher. That just doesn't exist anymore. Even with that, the kids at that school at least had the benefit of having a lot of really good teachers there, at least when I started there. I saw that change as well. One by one, all the good teachers just started leaving, either to other schools or other districts or other jobs or retirement. Yeah, the days when the janitor would go up on the roof and throw back your ball, yeah. Like, it would happen almost immediately, too, and he was always so nice about it, dude. Your ball would get up there, and you'd go tell a teacher, and she'd get on her walkie-talkie, and like a minute and a half later, the nice old janitor would come with his ladder, and you'd all be like, yay! And he'd be like, all right, kids, where'd it go? And you'd point it, you'd point to it, and he'd go, all right, then, and he'd climb up there and get it, throw it down to you. He's happy to do it. That shit, man, them days is over. Let me tell you what. That type of goodwill and happiness in general amongst the staff of schools is over. I never finished college. I went to college. I actually made several stabs at college of varying lengths and degrees of success. But never finished even the most standard of degrees. One of our middle school teachers had a living beehive built into the second-story window of his classroom. That is so cool. Oh yeah, dude, that would never be allowed. Ever. Yeah, I mean, teachers are not allowed to do their own creative things anymore. You walk into classrooms and they're like scarily homogenous now. Teachers, especially the good ones, still try and decorate the class and set it apart. And usually it ends up being with art projects from the kids. And so usually the lower grades are the ones that look the least depressing inside. But once you get up to like 4th grade, it's just like every classroom looks the same. My school stopped letting people on a perfectly safe area just because some idiot jumped off a fence. Well, whatever. Most of my teachers are pretty solid. I've only met 3 teachers who sound like your assumption. Teachers are certainly limited, but our school encourages free will most of the time. Hey, man, you're very lucky. My knowledge on this, especially direct knowledge on this, is limited to schools up and down the valley of the Central Valley of California and in the Central Coastal Range. I spent a lot of time working in the valley, but I traveled all around California to different schools for trainings and meetings and conventions and shit. So I saw a lot of what at least the California educational system has to offer, and I stand not impressed. One of my science teachers had a pet ferret that would always escape and hide in the cafeteria. That's funny. Yeah, that type of shit is very, very rare in schools now. I'm glad elementary school experience was great for the most part, yeah. I mean, mine was too, looking back on it. I mean, you always have a tendency to look back on things with rose-tinted glasses, too, so I gotta take that into account. There were times I fucking hated school. And there were teachers that I hated at school. People that I hated. People that hated me. It wasn't all sunshine and lollipops. Yeah, my freshman English teacher was charged with indecent behavior with 3 freshmen's lols. Uh-oh. Ruh-oh. My teacher sucked. I'd finish all my work for the period in like 15 minutes, and then they would give me more because they didn't want anyone to come by and see me not working. Dude, sounds like that's what you needed, dude. They were just trying to hone your mind, dude. I was actually in the special ed program, but after the Navy, I'm now going to top-tier university on the East Coast. There's definitely something wrong with our education system, yeah. I mean, there were definitely kids that were in, you know, the alternative education classes that probably shouldn't have been there. That's for sure. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and end this now. I appreciate you guys hanging out, as always. I will see you next time.